Now the next topic is the advance payment. Advance payment, we can say it is a down payment. So whenever we are going to procure the material from the vendor, or we are procuring the services from the supplier or vendor, so they may ask us to provide some kind of advance payment. So we need to process that advance payment in the accounting in the SAP system. How that advance payment is going to be processed, that we will understand today. So we know that for the vendor's account or supplier account, we maintain the reconciliation account. We also call it sundry creditor account or account payable account. Now, for the advance payment, we will not be using that normal reconciliation account, because in the SAP, whatever the transactions we are doing other than purchase, payment, then purchase return, especially the advance or down payment, so those are considered as special business transactions. And for those special business transactions, we need to maintain a separate GL on the opposite side. So this sundry creditor account, which we normally maintain on the liability side, for the advance payment, we will be creating the reconciliation account on the asset side. So like if you just see here, I have just written here this 100 500, that is my normal reconciliation account. And we also have here the under the assets 200 500, that is just a random number I took it here. That is the reconciliation account we have for the advance payment to the vendor. Now go to the PPT, let's understand this advance payment more. It is saying that the SAP classify the business transaction with the vendor as normal and special. So normal, as I just shared with you, purchase, payment, purchase, return. Whereas special means advance payment to your vendor, or we also call it as a down payment, bill of exchange, guarantee. Now it is saying that the special business transactions are to be dealt in a separate way. What is the separate way? So we'll be maintaining a separate GL on the opposite side, mostly on the asset side, and we call it as a advance payment to the vendor. While presenting in the balance sheet, they should not be part of your normal reconciliation account. So it should not be part of your Sunday creditor. It will be maintained on the opposite side. We have to maintain a separate reconciliation account for the special business transaction. Again, the same thing. Now it is saying that a reconciliation account, the way you maintain the line item, open item for your normal reconciliation account, for your special reconciliation account also, the system is going to manage the line item as open item, cleared item. How we will be able to identify if any line item is a advance payment or a normal line item? So for the special business transaction, SAP has given us the standard account type or indicator through which we'll be able to identify that these transactions are the special business transaction. It is saying that if we can come across any line item with the indicator A, so that is the advance payment, W is for the bill of exchange, G we have for the guarantee. Then it is saying that, okay, so if you just see, here we have a vendor master data, a supplier account. So that supplier account we are going to link with the two account. One is a normal reconciliation account and second is the special reconciliation account. You can just see A means advance payment, and this W is your guarantee, or we need to just check the indicator. It is a bill of exchange. So here you can just see, with every normal account we need to link a advanced reconciliation account, so that if we need to clear the line item, so we'll not be able to clear the line item. Why? Because both are having under the different GL. So how the line item treatment would be, I'll just show you with the example. So here we made a purchase of $100, and for that we have also made a advance payment to the vendor $100. Or let's say it is purchase is $100, and advance we have paid to the vendor 10% of our purchase, so let's say it is $10. Because we have maintained these two GL under the different accounts. So we have 100, 500, 200, 500. So here we have one of the line item, and this line item amount is $10, and we also have the advance payment line item that is again $10. So in the system we have these two line items, but we will not be able to clear off these two line items. Why? Because both are having different GL. So what we need to do so that we will be able to do the clearing. So for that we are going to link our special reconciliation account. This is also known as alternative reconciliation account with the normal account. After that what will happen? So we are able to transfer this $10, that is advance payment, to this normal reconciliation account. So after we transfer it, so here we will have the amount with negative and positive. So we will be able to knock off this amount. We'll be able to knock off these two line items. So if we'll knock off these two line items, so what will happen? So the balance for your for your this Sunday creditor account, it will be 90, and the balance we have for the advance payment to the vendor will become 0. So this is how we are going to treat the advance payment for our vendor, and same way we are going to see the advance payment receipt from our customer, which we will be doing in the account receivable accounting. Reconciliation account with the number 100 500, that is a Sunday creditor account for our company code 2244. So what we need to do, we need to create a alternative reconciliation account on the asset side, and that we can give the name as advance payment to the vendor. So this is the existing account. We have reconciliation account or normal reconciliation account for purchase, payment, purchase return, transaction with our vendor. Now I'm going to have the account number. It is not yet created, 200 500. So for the creation of this 200 500, that is advance payment, I will take the reference of 100 500, because it is also to be maintained as a reconciliation account but under a different account group. So if I try to save it, it will not allow me to save, because this is to be maintained under a separate account group. So it will give us a it will give us a error message that the number range, or this number which you have given 200 500, it doesn't fall under the range we have maintained for liability. So what we need to do, we need to have here the account group as asset. We also need to give the name as advance to vendor, advance to vendor account. So the rest of the information will remain same. We maintain under the control data and bank interest tab. We can save it, and then we need to link this alternative reconciliation account with the normal. For that we have the next step. So you can just see, first we created the GL with FS00. Then step number 2, we need to assign this special reconciliation account with the normal. And for this assignment, we can run transaction code OBYR. Let's run transaction code OBYR. Enter. You can just see SGL indicator. SGL indicator is nothing but your special GL indicator. And you can just see the count type K. K means vendor. So for the vendor, we have in the system these many special GL indicator, out of which we use this A for the advance payment. We use the B for the down payment, like that is a financial asset. So here we have the down payment we'll be using on the current asset, and in the real time also we use this indicator A only for our advance payment. So we can double click on this, press enter button, and we can maintain here a normal reconciliation account and special reconciliation account. Normal is 100 500, special is 200 500. Press enter button, save it, and then enter button. So what will happen whenever you will be processing any advance, system is going to maintain that line item under this GL. And whenever you will be doing any normal transaction, system is going to maintain under this reconciliation account. But when you need to do the adjustment of that advance, so what do you need to do? You need to transfer that much amount from this GL to this GL. Why? Because clearing is also required. Without the clearing, system will not be able to clear off your line item. So if we have the open item, we need to do the clearing. So for the clearing, we are doing this transfer. Now let's have here the down payment, and this down payment we can process with transaction code F-48. So let's have here the transaction code F-48. Just give me 1 second. There is another indicator which we can use for the advance payment, that is the indicator F. So what's the difference between the indicator F and indicator A? So indicator A is going to create your accounting entry, finance entry, whereas this F indicator is not going to create your accounting entry or finance accounting entry. Because you can just see here for this F we have the down payment request. So request is not going to create any accounting entry, and that is the difference between the two. And what will happen under the indicator AF? So under the indicator F, we'll get a single line item. So you know that in the accounting, at least two line items are required. Without that, we will not be able to complete or post any accounting document. So here, why we need to take the indicator F? So if we are assuming that first we are getting a request from the vendor for the down payment, then we are processing the down payment. So in this case, we need to use both of these two indicators. So first we have assigned the GL under the indicator A. Same way, we need to assign the GL under the indicator F. Double click on this, confirm the chart of account. Again, we need to give here the reconciliation, special reconciliation, enter, save. Now, if you just see the practice sheet, it is saying that let's process the advance payment request, and this advance payment request we can process with transaction code F-47. So let's have here the transaction code F.47, press enter button, and we need to give here the date. So the date is today's date, 17th of May 2023. Document type K we are using, you can just see the title, we are using it for the down payment request. Then we have the company code, period, date, currency. Here we need to mention the vendor number 600,251 in our case. And then we need to give here the indicator A. For the request, although we maintain the indicator F, but when you are going to process the down payment request, you will be mentioning the indicator A because it is going to trigger A. So let's have here the advance payment of request of, we have an advance payment request of 50,000. Date is, due date is today's date, and we can give the text as advance payment request, and we can click on the overview button. So you can just see we have the single line item, and that is the reason it is not going to hit your finance. So I'm going to save it. Now we can go to the menu document display. You can just see we have the single line item. If you double click on this, so this is your sub ledger account, and this is your main ledger account. This is your vendor account, and this is your reconciliation account. So whatever the transaction you will do here, it will hit your special reconciliation account. And again, whatever the transaction you will do for your sub ledger, it will also hit your main reconciliation account, normal reconciliation account. So we can just see here we have the advance payment request. Now how we can convert it into the advance payment. For that, we have the next transaction code, which is F-48. So let's run transaction code F-48. But before that, if you want to see if this GL 200-500, so this got updated by system, click on the execute button. Transaction code is FS10. FS10 transaction code we use to check the GL account balance. You can just see system has not updated your reconciliation account for this transaction. Why? Because it is not going to, it is just a request, not an advance payment. So now I'm going to process the advance payment, and for this advance payment we have F-48. Give the date as today's date. Document type KZ means payment to the vendor, that is the advance payment. Vendor number we need to mention here. Indicator, once again it is going to be A. advance payment, and this payment we are processing to the vendor from which account? From account 200 account, that is a cash account, or you can also take it here the bank GL. Amount is, let's say it is 50,000, and text is payment, or I would say advance payment to vendor. Now press enter button, or you can just see there is a button for the request. So click on the request button. So whatever your down payment requests are, system is going to show you all those requests. Since we have created the single request, that is the reason we can just see here the single line item. So you need to pick the relevant line item. So in our case, we'll pick this one, and then we can click on this down payment or create down payment button. So system is going to convert this request into the down payment. Click on the create down payment, and you can just see system has given you this accounting document which system is going to post. So you can just check it, and after that you can save it. Click on the save option, or before save, if you just check the second line item, again this is sub ledger, main ledger. Now we can go back, save it. So we have now created the advance payment, and how the system is going to maintain these advance payment line item in the system. We can go to the vendor line item because this is related to the vendor. So we can display the vendor line item, and for that we can use FBL1N. We have our vendor 600,251 in the company code 2244, and we can see here the all line item. Click on the all line item, click on the execute button. So you can just see here, we can see only 29,000. We don't have here the 50,000 entry. Why it is not there? Because all these are the normal line item. In order to get displayed your special line item, you need to go back and you need to select this checkbox, special GL transaction. Special GL transaction. After that, you need to click on the execute button. So you can just see system is just showing you this time 50,000 with the indicator A. A means special GL indicator. Special GL indicator, and here we can just see the balance. It is showing you now 21,000 debit. Okay, here we have the credit balance of 29,000. Here we have a debit balance of 21,000. Now we will also see the balance for the reconciliation account, special reconciliation account, how much it is showing us. Earlier it was showing us nothing because that was that time we created the request. Now once again we can just check the balance, and for that I'm going to open a new screen. Transaction code is FB, it is FS10N, and then we have the special reconciliation account number 200 500. Click on the execute button. So whenever you are paying any advance, system is going to maintain on the asset side, and asset side will have the debit balance. It will always come on the debit side. So now we can just see 50,000 is coming. So what will happen when we are going to adjust this advance payment? So system is going to have a new line item or amount on the credit side. The balance will become 0. So now here we have the 29,000 we need to pay to the vendor. 50,000 we have already paid. Okay. So what we can do? We can transfer from this advance payment of 50,000. We can transfer this 29,000 and we can clear it. So how we can do it? Let's see. For that, we have the next step. It is saying that how much amount you want to transfer from your special to normal GL. So for that, we need to go to the step number 8. Step number 7, if you have a purchase invoice, so you can just see we have already a purchase invoice of 29,000. We have excess payment of 21,000. So let's process a payment of, or let's process a invoice of purchase invoice of 21,000, and for the purchase invoice we have again same transaction code F-43. We have today's date, vendor, and one more thing I just want to show you. So whenever you have paid any advance payment to the vendor, for the same vendor, if you are creating any purchase invoice, so the way we are just creating, okay, we are creating a purchase invoice. So always system is going to give you the notification And when we will be getting that notification? So when we are creating the purchase invoice for this vendor, let's say in our case we have paid the advance payment to this 600 to 51 vendor. So whenever I will make a purchase invoice, system is going to always give me a notification that to this vendor we have already paid a advance payment of 50,000. And when this notification will stop coming, so when this advance payment will be adjusted completely. So by that time it will keep giving us as and when we are creating any purchase invoice for this vendor. So now for this vendor it is saying that 50,000 we have already paid as advance, and out of which we want to adjust a line item of 29,000. So we want to have a new line item of 21,000. This is what normal purchase. And 40 we have the posting key for the consumption GL. Press enter button. For the second line item we have the same amount. Text is plus. Overview the amount. Save. So once again we can see the line item. Let's see the line item once again. Refresh your vendor line item screen. So you can just see here we have the balance as 0. So if the balance is 0, then we are able to do the clearing. But in this case we are not able to do the clearing. Why? The reason is these two amounts 29 and 21,000, these two amounts fall under a different reconciliation account, whereas 50,000 advance fall under a different reconciliation account. So we can also see it. You double click on the first line item. You can just see the reconciliation account we have on the right side. It is coming as 100, 500. Now we can come out of here. We can go to the next line item. It is coming 100, 500. Okay. Now again we can go back. This is your sub ledger. This is your main ledger, or we call it as reconciliation account. Now go to the third line item where we can just see some difference. So you can just see here this time it is showing you 200, 500. So that is the reason we are not able to do the clearing. So in order to do the clearing and in order to remove this special indicator tag A, so what we need to do? We need to transfer this 50,000 amount from special GL to normal GL. That special GL is your 200, 500. So from that we will transfer it to normal reconciliation account. Then we will be able to do the clearing. And for that transfer, we need to run next step. Transaction code is F-54, and we can give the header information. Date is today's date. Document type, it is showing you KA. You can just see here it is showing you the title as clear your vendor down payment. Now we can mention here the vendor number, and if any reference invoice number system is just showing you, just remove it and then click on this button, down payment, process down payment. If you just see here, it is showing you the down payment amount is 50,000, available amount which you can transfer 50,000. So you go on the right side, scroll on the right side, how much you want to transfer, that you need to mention here. So it is not mandatory that whatever the available amount, always we need to mention that much amount. We can also mention here less than that amount, but in our case we want to transfer full amount, so that is the reason we mention 50,000. Press enter button and then we can click on the save option. So once we have transferred it from special to normal, we'll see the balance for our special reconciliation account. Here we need to double click on the line item. We can add a text, advance adjusted, overview the line item, save. So we have here the accounting document number 25003. Now once again we can refresh the line item, see the impact. So system is going to remove this indicator A, and it will start showing you this 50,000 under the normal reconciliation account 100, 500. So just double click on this and you will see here it is showing you your normal reconciliation account. Because the other two line items are also having the same reconciliation account, so what we can do, we can do the clearing. But before we do the clearing, I'll just show you the balance for your advanced reconciliation account, and this balance we can see through FS10N. Our advanced reconciliation account number is 200, 500. Let's see the balance, it will show you 0. Why? Because whatever the advance we have received, we have paid to vendor, so that we have adjusted, so that is the reason it is showing you 0 balance. Now Still, we have here the open line item. You can just see the clearing document number is missing. So to get the clearing document, to get these line item under the green indicator, so we need to do the clearing. And for this clearing, we can go to the next step. Transaction code is F-44. Let's have here the transaction code F-44. Press enter button, vendor number. Click on the process open item. And you can just see not assigned amount, it is showing you 0. So we need to simply click on the save option. So this clearing document number system has given you 10026. Now you go back, check your line item once again. So all will have now cleared line item. So you can just see nothing is open. So all got cleared. You can just see the clearing document number we have 10026. So we have here 21,000 purchase invoice. Then we have 29,000. So here we got it cleared against this 50,000. So this is how we can do the advance payment treatment for our vendor, and the same treatment we will be seeing in for our customer when we'll be having the account receivable account. Now it is saying that if we need to process the payment for multiple vendors and they have their different due dates, different payment method in the different company code. So in order to provide the solution for this, SAP has given us a standard payment process called automatic payment program. So this automatic payment program has two parts. One, configuration part, which is to be taken care of by the consultant. Second is the payment part, or I would say end user activity part, which is to be carried out by the user, by the business user. But before the business user will understand this process, how to run it, so who is going to train him? So consultant needs to train him. So that is the reason we need to have the hands on both sides. We need to also know how the configuration is to be done. At the same time, we also need to know how this automatic payment program is carried out in the SAP system, so that if user has any doubt, user has any challenges in that, so we are able to fix that issue, or we are able to help him give the solution. Now, this automatic payment program we can process with the help of transaction code FBZP. Under this, we have 6 steps. We need to remember these 6 steps in a sequence. How to remember it? So I'll let you know. First, we need to run FBZP. We need to provide the information for the automatic payment program under these 6 steps. So here, first 2 steps we have related to company code. Next 2 steps related to the payment method. Last 2 steps related to the bank. That is how we will be able to remember these 6 steps in a sequence. So if we just go specific, so here we need to add all the company code for which we need to process the for which we need to do the vendor payment. Then we have the paying company code. So here we will be like defining those company code which are linked to the house bank, because sometimes we see in the companies there are a concept of head office or centralized payment unit where the payment is processed for a single, I would say, company code. So we have 30 legal entities, but for those 30 legal entities, payment is to be processed by 5 legal entities. So those five legal entities are nothing but the paying company code, because with them we have the house bank attached. You know that house bank we attach at which level? At a company code level. So in this case, we are going to add only those company code which has a house bank, because these paying company codes are going to process the payment on the behalf of other company code. And in the books of other company code, we have the open line item. So those line item for the vendor will be cleared off by the system. Then we have the payment method in country. Then we have the payment method in company code. Here it is saying that if you have the payment method in country, let's say US, so what are the payment method you are going to use? If it is a check, bank transfer, ACH payment, non-ACH payment, DME payment, or there is a there is a foreign payment, or there is some other kind of payment you want to process. So for that, we need to define the payment method in the system. So at the same time, SAP has given us some default payment method for each of our country. So we can go and check them, and we can also, if you want to create the new one, we can create by taking a reference of existing payment method provided by the SAP. Then that particular payment method, you need to use it for your company code, that you can assign it to the company code. And then because we have so many banks, so many accounts, so we need to give here the priority from which bank, from which account, in which currency we want to process a payment. If you want to process a payment in USD, non-USD, so which bank system should consider first, second, third, so that information we maintain under the bank determination. Then we have the house bank where we are going to link our GL. So we can click on the all company code button, and before that I will also walk you through the automatic payment process. So here we will find a slide with the name automatic payment program, this one. Let's open it, and we can see here it is saying that this automatic payment program we can run in the SAP with the help of transaction code F110. So FBZP is for the consultant for the configuration, whereas F110 is for the processing of payment. As a user, we can, or we can as a consultant, if we need to test, so we can use this transaction code. So it is saying that under the automatic payment program, using this automatic payment program, this is also known as APP. We can configure the system if we need to process the checks, payment advices. Actually, these are the payment documents the system is going to generate, payment summary for the due invoices of your due vendor. What do you mean by the due invoices of your due vendor? So, for example, we have in our company 1000 vendor, and this payment we are processing on a daily basis or weekly basis or fortnightly basis. So when we this payment need to be processed, so this is a decision taken by the company. So mostly we take it on a weekly basis, we process the payment. So every Friday if we need to process the payment, and we have 1000 we have 1000 supplier. So this Friday, the payment which we are going to process, if we are going to process for all the 1000 vendor, no. So we will be processing, system is going to consider only 200 vendor. Why? Because these two vendors have the payments, or I would say line item, purchase line item, which is due as on the date of executing the payment program. So we have the terms of payment with the vendor. So terms of payment with the vendor means when we are going to pay them. So we'll be doing the 50%, 30%, or if we'll be doing the payment after 30 days, 50 days, or after 100 days. So those number of days we can add under the terms of payment, and based on that system is going to pick the invoice. And also sometime the scenario for that advance payment, or I would say early payment discount, so that is not very much common, but for that SAP has given us the option, if you do the early payment to the vendor, and for that early payment vendor is giving you some discount, so that discount also you can add in your terms of payment. So system is going to calculate the discount automatically and create a accounting entry. So that also we'll see under the separate topic called terms of payment, which will come after this. So here it is saying that we have 200 vendors, so we are system is going to process the payment of these two vendors only, not 1000. Now, out of these 200 vendors, we have one of the vendor. The name of this vendor is XYZ. So for this XYZ vendor, we have total how many invoices? 25 invoices. But system is going to take it only 10 invoices. What is the reason? Because as on the date of executing payment program, that is Friday, so his only out of 25, only 10 invoices are due. So system is going to keep the 15 invoices in the system, and those will be processed in the next cycle. So it is saying that a system will print the check or the payment for these 10 invoices only. We can configure the different payment method as I just shared with you, like for the check payment, bank transfer, wire transfer. For the automatic payment program, how many steps are there? So there are four steps under which we need to process the payment. First is your maintain parameter. Second is your schedule proposal. Then we have the payment program, and then we have the print program. So under the maintain parameter, we need to give the information input data we can enter here. So in this phase, in this step, system user has to enter the selection criteria, like we are going to mention for which set of company code, which payment method we are going to consider, what should be our next payment run date, and also what should be the vendor range or which set of vendors we are going to consider for the automatic pin program. Then based on our parameter, based on our information in the first step, system is going to generate a list for those vendor and their invoices under the step 2. So system is going to give us a proposal. So this proposal is nothing but a list of vendors and their due line item, which system is going to show you that okay, these are the line item system has considered, and those invoices which are due as on the date of executing the payment program. And this is called proposal. So if we can make the changes in the proposal, yes, you can display the proposal, you can make the changes in the proposal, you can delete the proposal if it's not required, if you created wrongly, so you can delete it also. Then in the proposal only, if you need to block any vendor's invoice for the payment, so that you can also do it. Then once your this is actually the draft, okay, so once this draft is approved, then we can go for the payments. Your accounting entry will be generated, payment document will be generated, your line item will be cleared off. Which line item? Your purchase line item, invoice open item, so those will be cleared off by system. Your sub ledger, main ledger, or your bank GL, your check register, so all these will get updated. And then what we need to do, so those documents which we generated under the step 3, we need to print them under the step 4. So it is saying that the configuration steps we have already discussed. These are the 6 steps we have. We are going to see first those 6 steps. We are providing the information, and then we will be processing them as a user. So here we can go to the transaction code. It is FBZP. So this is the screen system will just show you. You need to go to the first step, all company code. Click on the new entry button. Give your company code data. Give your company code ID. So in our case, it is 2244. Paying company code, the 2244. Sending company code means if you are doing the payment on the behalf of other company code, then you can mention that company code which is not linked to any house pay. Okay. Then after that, if you want to process the payment for a specific business area, like business area wise the payment you want to process, then you have this checkbox, you can take it. Then after that, under the cash and cash discount and tolerance, you can select the maximum cash discount allowed, and then we can save it. This much information we need to maintain under the step 1. We can now go back, and we will go to the next step, that is the paying company code step. Click on this. Here once again we need to mention our paying company code, which is 2244, and then you can just see this automatic pin program we can use for both account type. We can use it for the vendor as well as we can use it for our customers also. So here we can, through this automatic pin program, we can generate the incoming payment as well as outgoing payment. So we want to have here the outgoing payment generated, and that is for our vendor. So here it is saying that whether it is a incoming or outgoing. So we have here the option that we can give a minimum amount limit. So what should be the minimum amount that you want to get processed through the automatic, and rest you want to process manually. So let's say $100. If the invoice amount is more than $100, so that should be processed with the automatic pin program. Below that we can process manually. Then after that we can click on the form button, because system is going to generate the payment document. In order to get those payment document generated, we need to attach the form. So in the SAP we have been given a list of form. We can attach here the relevant form. So in this case we need to attach the payment advice form, and for this you need to press F4 key. It will show you a list of country. You can go to the relevant country, pick the form. Here we can go to the option. Here it is, let's say international. and we can go to this option called payment advice note. We can double click on this. So you can just see this is a form which we have assigned here. This is a standard form provided by the SAP. This is for the F110 payment. International IN stand for international. If you are using it for Germany, it will come as DE. If you are using for US, it will come as US. It will, if you use it for Canada, it will come as CA. Okay. So this A wise means advice, and then you need to go to the sender detail. Here we need to have the text as ST standard. Now I'm going to save it. Click on the save option, press enter button, go back. So now we are in the step number 3, payment method in the country. So what's our country name or country ID? It is US. We will go to the country US, and that we'll see what are the payment available payment method. So we can use the available payment method. We can also create the new one. So whenever you are creating the new one, so first let's search for the US. So these many payment method we have already in the system, and these are the IDs provided by the SAP. So for example, here we have the biller direct, we have the direct debit, we have the ACH payment, check payment, federal payment, we have the payment through in-house cash, we have the single payment bank transfer. Okay. So normally this ACH you will see for your client, then C we have for the check, and then we have D for the transfer. Now, whenever you are going to create any new payment method, so for example, they don't want to use this one. So what you do, you just take a reference of this T or any existing payment method, and you can create the new one. So what information we need to provide if I need to create a new payment method. So we need to double click on the payment method. It is C. So you can just see we have the country name, we have the payment method ID which we can maintain single character, and it can be also alphanumeric. Special characters are also allowed. Then description of this payment method. So it is saying that this payment method you are using for what? For the incoming payment or for the outgoing payment. So we are using for the outgoing payment. After that, you can also see here it is showing you payment method classification. So through this payment method, you want to do the bank transfer or you want to generate the check. So we want to generate the check, so we can use here the check option. If you want to generate the, if you only want to send a bank transfer information to your bank, in that case you can click the ready button on the bank transfer. So these next third and fourth option we have for the bill of exchange and combination of a bill of exchange with a check. Then after that, if you want to process the payment for your employees as a salary, you want to process, because employees are considered in the SAP as vendor also. So here we can select the checkbox. F110 would be able to process the payment for your employees for your salary disbursement. Then after that, we can just go down. We can just see here, system is going to give you the document type for your payment document as ZP. Normally we have seen we have the document type KZ, that is for the manual payment. So this ZP is for the automatic payment program. So whatever the payments which will be generated through the APP, system is going to give you the document type as ZP, and for the clearing of that line item, system is going to give you the document type as ZV. Then you will also see on the left side we have the required master data specification. What is the relevance of it? So in your vendor master data, we have the fields. Okay, we have the general data, we have the company code data. Here, if I open any vendor master data, in our case it is 600-251. It is saying that if any information which you want to make it as mandatory for your vendor and that is missing while doing the payment, so system is not going to consider that vendor. So first, the user has to fix that information or provide the required data. Then we will be able to process the payment for that vendor. So if you just go to the address button, okay, press enter button. You see here the fields available. It is saying that if street, PO box, postal code, if you select this as mandatory, and system has found that in the address tab, so these fields are blank. Okay, so your street, postal code, so these fields are blank, or this postal city ID. Okay, if this information is blank and here we have selected the checkbox, in that case, system will not make the payment through the APP. If this checkbox is deselected and here we have the blank information, then system will process the payment. Okay. Likewise, here you can just see the bank details are mandatory, but here for this vendor we don't have the bank detail. Where we maintain the bank detail of this vendor, we maintain under the payment transaction tab of your general data. So you can just see we have maintained the bank detail, so we are able to process the payment, or system will process the payment for this vendor with this checkbox selection. Why? Because this is bank details are mandatory and we have maintained the information. If we would not have maintained that information in our vendor master data, system would not have processed the payment. Okay. Then we can just go down for this check payment. System is going to generate a classic payment medium workbench. So this is a classic payment medium workbench. And for the other types of payment, we have the DME payment where we are going to send the information to the bank in a electronic form. So we can select this first option. In that case, we need to mention the format of the DME. Now here we need to use this classic payment medium workbench. In that we will be able to generate the payment, or then we will be able to assign the check to the payment document. Now we can just come out of here. So whatever the payment method you want to use, so that payment method you need to link with your company code in the next step. So come out of here, go to the next step, payment method in the company code, and we can click on the new entry button. What's our company code ID? 2244. What's our payment method? So payment method I want to use C. And for this combination of your paying company code and payment method, you can give the minimum amount and maximum amount. So minimum how much payment you want to get processed, and maximum how much payment we want to get processed. So we can mention here the minimum amount as $100, maximum as 9999, and then press enter button. In case you are processing the payment for your foreign vendors, for those vendors who are living abroad or who are having the bank abroad, so you can select these three checkboxes for that. After that, you need to click on the form data. Here we have assigned the payment advice form earlier. Now we are assigning the payment. We are assigning here the payment medium. Payment medium is what? Check. So for the check, we need to assign here the form. So again the same thing, press F4 key, go to the international. This time we need to double click on the check with the check management. Last option we can tick it here, select here, and whatever the checks which system is going to generate on that check on the drawer side, where we normally do the sign authorize for the for ABC company authorized person. So where you want to get written on that, or on that space. So here on every check we want to write the drawer information, so that is the payment department of our company, treasury department, and then we want to save it. Click on the save option, and now we can come out of here. We have the second last step, bank determination. We can just click on position button. What's our company code ID? 2244. Select our company code. You go to the left side. You can just see we have been given the folder, ranking order, bank account, available amount. First, we can go to the ranking order. As I just shared with you, in case if you are using multiple payment method, multiple house banks, so in this case you can give the ranking. Which bank system should consider first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So that is how we can give the priority. So click on the new entry button because we have here the single payment method. C, currency is USD, ranking is 1, and we can give here the house bank ID as CTB. If you don't remember, you press F4 key, system will show you list and you can select the relevant one. Then if you want to process the payment in USD as well as in the foreign currency, so for that what do? You create with this line item, you create a line item with USD, another line item that is going to be copy of this but in that you will be just removing the currency as USD. Okay, if we'll keep it as blank, I'll just show you. First, we just save it. Now, if you want to process the payment other than USD, so that may be any currency. It may be GBP, it may be Euro, it may be INR. So in that case, what do you need to do? You need to have here the payment method ranking. We can give it as 2 with the same house bank. Okay. So in that case, system is going to process the payment in the foreign currency. So because our house bank is maintained in USD, so in that your foreign currency exchange rate will come into the picture. So that is how it is going to be processed. Okay. Now I'm going to save it. Click on the save data. We can go to the bank account option. We need to click on the new entry button. Here once again we will mention the house bank ID, which is in our case CTB. Payment method is C, currency is USD. Account ID, if you remember, 4 times 01 we have maintained, and bank account we have the bank GL 200,101. Save. Now in this 200,101, what is the amount limit? So we can click on the new entry button. So we have our house bank CTB and account ID 4 times 01. Here we want to maintain the amount for 999 days in the currency USD. What is the amount limit? So this amount limit by default we maintain as 9999. We can just save it and then we can come out of here. The last step of this automatic print program configuration, go to the house bank, press enter button. So here also you can create a new house bank. Okay. So this in the last step, house bank, if your house bank is not created, you don't need to go to the FI12 and create that. So here also you can create a new house bank. So for the existing house bank, you can just check the GL account. If it is correct, then we are okay. We are good to go. So now we can process the payment for our vendor through the automatic print program. Okay. So we'll pick one invoice, and that invoice for that invoice we'll be processing the payment through the F110, and we'll see how the line item will be cleared off. Your GL will be updated. After that, we have in the account payable accounting the last topic, terms of payment.